Welcome to Spotlight on Bourne. I'm Linda Zern, your host, and my guest today is Sharon Mendes. And she is a local author and has been on the show before. And welcome. Thank you for coming on again.
Thank you for having me again.
Sharon, people who maybe haven't seen you on the show before, why don't we just go through your background a little bit and just tell us, you live in Katomet, or is it actually Pocasset? It's right over the line. And how you got started in writing children's books.
Well, when I was in second grade, my second grade teacher read us this book, Bridie of the Grand Canyon by Marguerite Henry. And that just spurred something in me. From a very early age, I always wanted to write. My favorite subject was always horses, so that was pretty easy. And then I was an RN for 30 years, and when I retired, I decided to start writing.
And
that's how that happened.
You've probably been just as busy writing as you were when you were a nurse. Right?
Yeah, very much so. Different.
Mm-hmm. Now, these are some of the books that you've done before. So if you want to just tell us. My first
publication was in 2011, and that was Bravo and Glee, and there's a picture of my house and barn. And that was based on my thoroughbred racehorse that we adopted, and then our little Shetland pony that we had. Mm-hmm. And then the second book was Who is Bella?, which was one of our pointer dogs came to the farm and had to meet all of the critters. And so it's kind of in her words about being nervous and coming to the farm. Mm-hmm. And the third book was is Crossing Laurel Farm, which is the story of the snapping turtles that grace us with their presence in the springtime. And they have to cross our paddock, our sandy paddock, to get over across the street to the lake to lay their eggs. And sometimes it's pretty scary for them when they encounter these big horses that are sniffing at them, and they're quite mean. But in the story, of course, Miss Daisy's very nice to the horses. Oh. And the book that I'll be reading today is the one that just came out, Ryan, A Horse's Tale. The next one is A Party for Porky, and that will be out hopefully in a couple of months. We're just finishing the details of that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's been pretty busy.
So do you actually work on two books at the same time, or do you just go right from one to the other?
Yeah, I work on several at one time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It seems like all of a sudden I'll get, enlightened about a certain thing that I'm thinking of, and we'll get up sometimes early in the morning and I'll be writing furiously. And then other days I couldn't write a sentence if, my life depended on it. So, I mean, it is divine inspiration, I think, a little bit.
And they all have a horse in the book. That's one of your main characters in every book.
Yeah.
And you have different horses. One was Dakota. I remember doing some shots of Dakota.
Yes, I remember you came over. It was cold out that day, and I got on Dakota. And he's still with us.
And some of the other horses, you have two now?
Yes, I just bought a new horse last year for my 60th birthday. I got an unbroke horse that I've been training. Mm-hmm. That's been quite a story in and of itself. So that'll be another book, hopefully, down the road.
And what about Ryan, the book that you're doing now?
Ryan, this is Ryan, A Horse's Tale. In Ryan's own words, an extraordinary journey. He was rescued from an auction house in Massachusetts by a gal who lived down in Eastham. And my husband met her at a horse show and said, oh my goodness, if my wife ever saw that horse, she'd lose her mind. So he did a little video of it and said, if you ever want to sell Ryan, please give us a call. And about 3 months later, she called us and said she was getting married that year, and were we still interested? Of course, we went up there, or down there, very quickly. And that was how I got Ryan. So, and it's a chronicle of his life. It's a little bit of an older read. These books are more maybe up to a 3rd grade level, where this is probably a 4th or 5th grade level. It's sort of a Black Beauty story. It has some bittersweet moments in it. But I will say to you all, it ends on a good note. So,
So you're also involved in, the Peace for Ponies group. How does that tie in with your books?
well, if I can flip this over here. This is a little bit about Peace for Ponies. I actually got involved last fall. One of my boarders had a rescued horse, and she mentioned to me that there were little pregnant minis that were up in Wareham, owned by Kendra Bond, and she was Peace for Ponies. And I thought, what is that? And they told me that she rescued horses and rehabilitated them and then found them forever homes. So I got on the social media, and I got onto Facebook with Kendra, and I started seeing this little darling Bourne. She's a miniature mule. Her name is Bella, and here she is in Wareham. She was recently at a fundraiser, and she was right up on the stage with the musicians. She's quite a little mascot. And from her story, Kendra is a very, very wonderful photographer and has done, she's a professional photographer. And when she started this organization, she started taking pictures of the different rescued horses. And this was the first little horse that was born on her farm. His name is Destiny, and this is his forever home. He's running around with a little friend. And so that was what spurred the interest for me, you know. And it's interesting that I wrote the book 2 years ago about Ryan being rescued, and who knew in the future that I would be part of this, you know.
Was he rescued by that group?
Ryan was rescued from a private person down Cape.
Oh, but didn't have anything to do with Peaceful Ponies?
No, but had he not been sold that day, he was injured. So had he not been sold that day, there was a good chance he might have, you know, gone off to, you know, slaughter. Yeah. It's hard to say, but yeah, that is the reality for some horses. So, and we try very hard to help. We're part of, there are many rescues. I'm sure a lot of people know, like the Mustangs, you know, people try to rescue Mustangs when they get rounded up once a year and so on. Well, there's a lot of race horses and beautiful show horses that, you know, have to face that reality sometimes as well. So we work to, you know, we can't save them all, but if we can save one, we certainly make a difference in their lives, you know.
So you've become very involved in that group as well.
Very much so. Yes, it's been really nice. My farm is actually going to be an educational and training center. So we'll be holding clinics this summer. We'll have the kids come over and learn how to handle the foals when they're born. They don't all come from the auction pregnant, but a lot of times they do. And sometimes we don't even know when we're saving a horse, and then all of a sudden she starts growing, and here we are. You know, so that's been extremely rewarding. It really has.
I have met Kendra myself a couple of years ago, and I was quite impressed by what she was doing. So I haven't been able to go to her place myself, but I have checked it out on the internet.
She was supposed to join us today.
Yes.
And she has a very pregnant mare right now who's going to be foaling any moment. So she apologized, and I said please, and she hasn't had a lot of sleep either, so she said she wanted to be perky when she came to be interviewed, so that's interesting. But we do have a store now in Wareham on the Cranberry Highway by Mattress World. On the side of if you go into the parking lot at Mattress World, right on the side of the building, down below, is Not Your Average Yard Sale. It's a huge furniture place in there, and we have a portion of it for our store, Peace for Ponies.
Wow.
So, and we're selling all kinds of really fun things. This is called Center Your Ride, and this is a natural product that you and your horse can kind of use, kind of smell before you're riding together. And this is a salve that is all natural, and some of the gals that are in our organization make these and sell them. And then there's some jewelry that Kendra makes that's absolutely beautiful. This is Twyla Adams. She does some of the artistry and some of the beautiful wood plaques.
Oh, nice.
And so there are, you know, just many, many people that have volunteered and contributed, as well as doing fundraisers to try and help get as many horses as we can save.
So all the money that's raised from these products goes towards
Yes.
saving the horses?
Right, yeah.
And are all the products related to horses, or are there other things as well?
Well, the jewelry, some of it's horse themed, but yeah, there's other things there. It's just a lot of fun. You know, it's open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 9 to 5. So, and
Right next to Mattress World, you said?
next to Mattress World, and I should be over there on Friday mornings. I haven't had a chance to ask Kendra. I'm sure she'll need me at some point, you know. I'd like to go help, so it'll be fun.
It does sound like a lot of fun. You have the book with you, your new book, and you'd like to read a few chapters.
Sure.
So why don't we do that? And
Okay. All right. I'll
I
try
know
to.
you said last time people had called you after you did the show.
Yes, yeah, I had a lot of positive feedback, so this is a great opportunity for authors to get heard sometimes. You can buy my books at on Amazon.com. Right now, all 4 of them are on ebooks to be downloaded, and this year I'll be doing, those will be released as audiobooks as well as print-on-demand hard copies. So, Ryan is a fictional story that is based on some actual real events in his life. And I just want to say thank you to 2 very special people, Heather, who saved him from the auction house, and Janice, who rescued him and brought him to her farm, and he was there till the end of his life. So just really very special women. Chapter 1, My Life Begins. Dear readers, my name is Ryan. I was born in Texas in 1980. My father, called a sire, was a black quarter horse. My mother, called a dam, was a black and white paint. I was born looking just like my mom. I am a black and white paint with a black and white mane and tail. My life began as a happy chapter. As a young colt, I ran closely to my mom's side through acres and acres of the Texas plain. I roamed freely, playing with all the young horses. We were very frisky and played all kinds of running games with our manes and tails streaming through the Texas wind. I became a strong and confident young horse whose paint colors made me so beautiful and so flashy. I had a great curiosity for the big world around me. The cowboys registered me as an American paint, and everyone in my world seemed to think I could be a show horse. Chapter 2, My Intense Training. When I was about 2 years old, the cowboys at the ranch began to get me used to a saddle and a bridle. I had to learn to have them get on my back and ride me. I became a very well-trained horse who was good and saddle broke. The cowboys all agreed that I would make a great rodeo horse. I thought to myself, what's a rodeo? The training for the rodeo turned out to be some of the best and worst days of my life. I learned to let the cowboys rope a 2,000-pound bull while they were riding on me, and I had to hold really still while they tied him up. Then they trained me to run along the side of the bull while he was trying to buck a cowboy off. After acquiring these and other skills, I really became good at all this rodeo work. One of my trainers, named Jake, was a very mean cowboy. He would jerk on my mouth and kick me on my sides with his spurs. I became an angry but submissive horse. Sometimes I got lucky and I got a nice cowboy. They had patience when I was confused and gave me lots of praise when I performed correctly. You can imagine how nervous I was when I was brought to my first rodeo, because I never knew which cowboy would be riding me. Chapter 3, My Rodeo Days. The rodeo arena is massive and all kinds of Western events take place there. The main event is called bull riding. I had a great spot for viewing this event as I was right in the arena just a few yards away from all of the action. I watched in awe as the cowboy mounted the bull in the chute. Then the gate was open and the bull came charging out. The cowboy had to stay on the bull for a total of 8 seconds. The crowd screamed and clapped as the cowboy endured that terrible long ride. It was all very exciting. After the cowboy rode the bull, it was my job to chase and herd him back to the holding pen. I really loved doing this. It was the most challenging thing I had ever been asked to do. As a pickup horse, I could also have the cowboy jump on my back from the back of the bull. And when this happened, the crowd went wild, cheering me on. Being a rodeo horse had gotten me a lot of attention from all who were watching the events. Many times I heard the people say, "That black and white paint is one of the flashiest and most handsome horses we have ever seen." I must admit, I looked pretty good when my coat glistened in the Texas sun. I was getting very good at my job, and the cowboys used me more than many of the other horses. At the end of the day, I could not wait to get my saddle off. Even though I was in the best shape of my life, it was very, very hard work. When the cowboys were done riding me, they would just tie me up to the post. That made it hard for me to relax and get some needed rest. And when the rodeo was over for the whole season, all the horses were returned to the ranch. We knew we would be running again in the vast spaces of the Texas landscape. It seemed that all of us went from one extreme to the other throughout the year. Chapter 4, Change of Events. Once again, all of the horses were back at the rodeo getting warmed up for the very first event of the day. A cowboy named Tex was riding me and working me very hard to rope some longhorn cows. He was a very mean cowboy, and I could feel his spurs piercing my side. I was running as fast as I could, and somehow his lasso roped around the back of my right back foot. I panicked because I could not shake this rope loose. I bucked Tex off and he hit the ground hard. The rope tightened its grip and also pulled me to the ground. The crowd was stunned and horrified and became very quiet. I could see people coming to help me, but I was in too much pain to understand. When they tried to pull me up, I thrashed around and kicked at them. I just would not lay still. Tex got so angry he had fallen off me that he started to beat me with a long whip right in front of the crowd. I was forced to stand even though I was bleeding badly from my right foot. The crowd cheered for me as I limped across the arena. Tex tied me to a post and left me there until the end of the day. I guess the show must go on despite what happens to the horses. The next day I could hardly walk, and Tex told everyone that my injury was too extensive to treat. My right leg had swollen up to 3 times its normal size. He said I would never be able to run as fast as it would take to continue to be a pickup horse. So the very next day I was loaded into a huge trailer with a lot of other horses. I could see many of them were injured also. How scared we all were. We were packed so tightly together that we could not move. There was no food or water in the trailer. It seemed like we rode on and on forever. My leg throbbed in pain. Where are we going? I thought. I kept telling myself, "Be brave, Ryan, be brave." After a long ride, we arrived at the auction house in Massachusetts. I walked with a very noticeable limp. We were placed in straight stalls and were displayed for the people to come and inspect us before we went up for sale. At least at the auction house we were given hay and water. Before the auction began, a young woman named Robin looked at me with great concern in her eyes. She had been told I was hurt and probably could never be ridden again. The auctioneer said he would sell her to me to her at a cheap price before the sale even started. She quickly ran and got her husband. Robin had always wanted a black and white paint, and I tried my best to look her in the eye. Even though I was exhausted, she did see something in me. We made an instant connection that day. Her voice was so sweet. She asked me if I wanted to go to Cape Cod with her. At that point, I would have gone anywhere with this kind lady. I wasn't sure where Cape Cod was, but I got into a very roomy trailer, and there was a big bag of hay waiting for me. And it was sure exciting to see where I would end up. Do you want me to keep going?
Sure, if you like.
Okay, I didn't know if how our time
I
was.
think we're okay.
Okay, one more chapter. Chapter 5, Bayside Farm. When we arrived on Cape Cod, I smelled something pleasant but thick that was unfamiliar to me in the air. I trusted Robin somehow, and I really tried to behave for her even though I was masking my anger and great sadness. I recall in the early days, my stall had an open door to a small sandy paddock. It felt really good on my feet, and on rainy days I would stand in my stall and look out to see what was going on. These days became happy, and my leg was being properly treated. Texas and the rodeo were rapidly becoming a faded memory. 2 weeks later, a doctor called a veterinarian came back to inspect my leg. As a result of not having it cared for properly, there was a large permanent bump around my fetlock joint. He explained to Robin that even though it looked bad, I could indeed still be ridden. That sounded good to both of us. I could not wait to explore more and more of the world around my new home. A week later, Robin arrived carrying a saddle and a bridle. "Let's give riding a try," she said. I had become more and more relaxed with each passing day, but my spirit was still damaged. I tried really hard to be a good riding horse for her. At first, she tacked me up slowly and gently. Then she took me for a walk down a sandy path. She mounted up on me, and we started going on our first adventure. Excited, she yelled out to me, "Let's go to the beach, Ryan." I thought, what's the beach? When we got to the beach, it suddenly dawned on me what the smell was I was so unfamiliar with. It was the ocean. The sea air smelled salty. I knew at once that this smell would represent something really fun for me. We crossed the sand and walked to the water's edge where the waves were breaking. My mane and tail were now blowing in the Cape Cod wind. How I loved it here. After a few days, Robin and I were galloping along the beach. The waves crashed on the shore, and I snorted from the thrill of it. I had become a Cape Cod trail horse. I began to forget my anger, and my spirit was refreshed and renewed.
That is wonderful.
Thank
And I
you.
love the way you tell it from the horse's perspective. It shows that you know a lot about horses, and you could probably feel for them. And
Well, they do communicate non-verbally, you know, and sometimes they whinny and stomp their feet if they want something. So believe me, you work around them long enough and you develop an understanding of their language, you know.
and is this a true story?
It is
the
based on a
background?
true story.
So you had to do the research, or
Yes, I did a lot of research about him.
it sounds as if you did.
Yeah, and you know, the names and the places and everything I didn't put in the book. It's all fictitious so that it does protect people who a lot of times will sell a horse with their best intentions. You know, they don't know that things can go awry, you know, which is why I'm very excited to write a book for Peace for Ponies, because it's going to be Bella's story, little Bella. And it's going to kind of help us all to learn what to do if we have a horse that we can't keep anymore. If we do sell a horse, that we know where it's going, and that we have something written, even in a contract, to say if it doesn't work out that they can come back. So you always kind of take some responsibility if you can't care for them anymore.
So if somebody has a horse, they can go right to Peace for Ponies?
Yes.
And or
yes.
sell the horse there? Or?
And Kendra is wonderful. She has a lot of connections all through the United States, so she can help, or get somebody that can help. Yeah.
Oh, that is great. That's a great story. You also said you had a different publisher.
Well, Summerland Publishing was sold this year, and Anya Peterson Fry is my new publisher, and she has a lot of really great ideas. We'll be working together this year, and I'm very excited about that. Some new marketing and things. So.
And what about your illustrator? I saw that you had a couple of
Yes,
pictures.
my new illustrator. These pictures in Ryan's book I took myself, but A Party for Porky has been illustrated by Marguerite's daughter, the lady who originally worked with me.
Oh, okay.
Her daughter is now working with me, doing a great job.
And I think I saw that they were illustrated in the book.
Yeah, those are just pictures.
Oh, okay.
That I took.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there anything else, if people want to get a book from you, do you also sell from your house, or is there a number where they could reach you?
I can sell from my house. If you went on Peace for Ponies or you Googled Sharon Lee Mendes, you'll get all the information that you need to get a hold of me. And as I said, we will be having some open house type of things for children this summer to come to the farm and to learn about horses.
And then they can get a book that's autographed?
Oh, sure, of course.
And you have other books from your first, second, and third editions
actually,
or
Bravo
are
and
they
Glee,
sold out?
Bravo and Glee are almost sold out of hard copy, but we will be getting, this year we will be getting some more print-on-demand copies. So it's easier that way than for me to have to send them to people with shipping and handling. I hate to add on costs. So this way they can just, go on Amazon and get their book, either if they want to download or a hard copy.
And you said they could just download it to a Kindle, or
Kindle, Nook, or iPad. Yes. Yeah.
And that cuts down the cost quite a lot.
Oh, it does.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I love the story,
Thank
and I
you.
would think a lot of people, if they've heard it today, they'd say, "Oh, how did it turn out? Or what happened next?"
There's quite a lot of adventures for him. Yeah.
So that wasn't nearly half of what.
No, that was probably a little bit less than half of the book.
Okay.
Yeah, he goes on to become a therapeutic horse and a barrel racer with me, of course, because I barrel race, and so the different people that owned him would do different things with him, and he was so talented. He would lend himself, very nicely.
I like the part where you said, the people in the audience were cheering for him, not the rider, of course, but we're cheering for the horse.
Well, right? I kind of made the cowboys look bad, and some of them are so wonderful, really. But for him, the mean ones really stood out,
But it's from his perspective, so. And I know dogs are like that too. If somebody claps, they think they're clapping for them.
Yeah, my thoroughbred, the more we clapped and the more we said, yay, he would stand up on his hind legs. He was so funny.
Yeah.
He loved to perform. Some of them don't like shows and some of them love shows. It depends. They're like people.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for reading that and being
You're
on the show
very
today.
welcome.
And I look forward to going to your farm.
Oh, I hope you
And,
come back. Sure.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.